What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for end drops and drifts on Part and Parcel. Brian, let us hear the mutation.
Part and Parcel is the map where we have to break boxes to collect parts. When we get enough, General Davis opens the hybrid and then dies to it. We then have to destroy the hybrids for her before running out of time to win the game.
Yep.
Void rifts spawn every 90 seconds and continuously spawn enemies, and extra enemy waves drop on top of our dudes.
Alright, so we have Sticksbender and Herman with us on the call today. How are you guys?
I'm here. I exist.
I'm
Fantastic. Okay, so Herman, how are we gonna rank the commanders this week?
Okay, so apparently there is void rifts and aggressive deployment. So I would say that commanders who can reach the rifts like far behind the map will get a bonus point, and because of the drops, I mean the aggressive deployment. So the enemy AI composition doesn't matter, and if you get like explosive threat, it's gonna be a nightmare for most commanders. And if the AI composition is, I mean, the AI race is Terran. If you ever break the rule of cloaked, so there will be like science vessels or ravens.
Oh yeah.
Around the map. It's gonna be really, it's gonna just be really annoying.
So what you're saying is Terran is the worst.
Yeah, Terran is really imbalanced.
Finally,
so,
someone who makes sense.
Yeah, and so most part is the problem is still about the void rifts. So commanders who can deal with void rifts easily will be in high tier, I guess. Yeah.
All right. How about you, Sticksbender?
And you guys talking about Terran being the worst, and me just sitting here remembering how I rolled a Brood War Protoss variants over and over again, and it was just raining arbiters ceaselessly. So many arbiters.
So many
Everything's
arbiters.
invisible. But yes, enemy comp is kind of significant because you can die horribly due to it. Because there's a lot of really nasty comps that you don't want dropping on your head with science vessels, ravens. Baneling Scourge just dropping on your head is never fun.
True.
And
Vipers,
rifts. So rifts can spawn in a lot of really awkward spots on this map because rifts can spawn anywhere where there isn't buildings right around that particular spot, and there's a lot of empty spaces in this map which are behind enemy defenses, so you have to get past defenses to kill the rift.
Sounds
and
painful.
Void rifts are unfortunately a mutator where it's basically like you kill them really, really fast, or you just kind of lose.
Or you defend endlessly.
That's the thing. You kind of can't. Is the problem with void rifts.
All right.
Depends on the commander.
Special mutator.
Depends on the commander. All right. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
So Abathur, you can get your first brutalist. If you're using him well, you can get the first brutalist before 220. So it's like the first wave of war rift, and you can just use the brutalist to just deal with all the rifts. Other than that, I would say Leviathan is a really good unit or hero unit to push and gather the parts and kill the Mobius hybrid. So the ultimate evolution is the most important thing for him in this mutation, and I will give him an A for that.
All right. So mutation. A for you, but with a caveat of A, he needs ultimate evolution, so first prestige not included, and B, you need to know how to get a fast ultimate evolution, including against Terran.
I think for Terran, you need to lure the enemy at left of your natural, and the unit in your natural, so you can get your first brutalist. And for Protoss and Zerg, it will be easier. Like you just it's really easy for that. Terran is the most annoying one, so that's why Terran's imbalanced.
All right, Sticksbender, how about you?
Yep, ultimate evolutions are... You have one trick. It's ultimate evolutions. It's a really good trick.
Very good trick.
So, yeah. Get your ultimate evolutions. Use Brutalisks to pop things because they can just deep tunnel over and say, "Hello, Amon. I am here to end your Void Rift's existence." Yeah, there's not really much to add. Your ultimate evolutions are your base of everything. Oh, I guess you can use like spine crawlers, queens, and maybe swarm host as your defense to defend against the trickle of stuff. But your ultimate evolutions are what's really out on the map, killing stuff. So yeah.
All right. So what letter?
A. I would
All right.
agree with the A statement.
All right. Both of you say A. That's good. Without prestige. I assume that's not. I assume that's without prestige, right? Because that doesn't take away from his kit, unless you go with unless you go Essence Hoarder and it removes ultimate evolutions, so they'll probably be lower, right?
And don't
that would be a bad idea.
And don't use the third prestige, the limitless, because you'll need twice as much biomass. All right.
To get the first list, yeah.
the first ultimate evolution is critical for Abathur. That's why you need no prestige or the second prestige. Alarak, where do we have him?
Firstly, P3 is quite essential. That is your early game, and Void Rifts are very, very heavy on the you need a good early game thing.
Yep.
It is very... Your early game is very important against Void Rifts.
Correct.
So Mothership can't be out for the first 2 rifts exactly, but it can be like seconds later. So that's something you can have for helping clear the first rifts. Aside from that, you'll want to have probes out on the map for 2:20 is when the first rift spawns, and you'll want to have like a pair of probes out on the map in the more open areas, so that ideally, if the rifts spawn close together, you can put a pylon right between them, overcharge it immediately, and destroy both the rifts right off the bat.
And cancel your pilot to get a refund.
Yeah, well, yeah. And other than that, yeah, mostly just use the pylon gun to help clear early rifts. Use the mothership to run around clearing rifts, and rely pretty heavily, basically, on that plan. I would say you probably don't want to expand, or for the most part, like tech too much. Your base defense against trickle, your best option, honestly, I'd say, is probably the photon cannon. Yeah.
Okay, so letter.
Mothership, good unit. Probably B, maybe A.
What do you think, Herman?
I think, I mean, Mothership is definitely good unit to fight against Void Rift, but the AI composition is quite a thing for destroyers, and like you need to put your destroyers at the unpassable terrain so that the drops won't aggro your destroyer. Maybe.
Instead they go for your base.
Or maybe put it in your base. And I think that your mothership can be aggroed by the drop. Like, I don't know why the official website said the mothership cannot be targeted as a valid unit. So I'm not sure about that. And yeah, I just think that if you play Alarak, you just want to bag for a good AI competition. And
so comp dependent.
Yeah, I think B works fine for him.
All right. We haven't talked about the actual composition though. Is Alarak gonna go for mass destroyers, ascendants, wrathwalkers, ambushers, hero solo? What does he go for?
Definitely, I would definitely say you want to be going for mass destroyers. Yes. And yeah, basically the problematic comps are going to be Scourge
Storms.
And
Storms deal a lot of splash damage. I would say Storms. I've had problems before.
See, the problem with the thing that makes Storms a little bit less scary is that if they just spawn on top of your mothership and a bunch of destroyers, then they get one storm off and then they're dead. And one storm doesn't break your shields. 2 storms, now it's a problem. 3 storms, now you start losing stuff.
Yeah, because storms, they come with the actual attack waves, which are still a thing. Also the hybrid.
Yes, they do come with the actual attack waves. But then it is kind of like, okay, well, that makes it very scary if they have, like, Archons and Storm in large quantities. I'd say that there's a relatively small number of comps that are completely devastating.
Yes. Vipers.
Vipers come with the one comp that has Scourge in it, so like the Vipers are less threatening than the Scourge. The Vipers are less threatening than the Scourge.
I guess that's
one
true.
Comp that has Vipers has Scourge.
Because when the Viper comes down, it doesn't have full mana. Full mana, but it will like get full mana when it really drops down. So like the
problem is when the Vipers drop down, and when the Scourge drop down, just when air units from Amon drop down, they're allowed to attack and use abilities before they're fully spawned in. And before they're fully spawned in, you can't hit them, but they're allowed to attack you and use abilities for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
So Vipers have like a whole second to spam spells on you before you're allowed to attack them. And
that's so irritating.
Have a whole second to attack you. They can attack you before they're on the screen, because they drop down from the top of the screen. The Scourge don't drop down from the top of the screen. They just off the screen detonate on your units, and where'd my units go? They just magically disappeared. Huh? Oh, that was cool. I love Scourge. What great thing.
Very balanced.
Thank you, Blizzard, for your implementation of this mutator. It's really great.
Thank you, Amon.
It was clearly really well thought through, Blizzard. Thank you.
Fun and interactive.
Yeah. If you do get stuck against Scourge, you can go Mass Stalker instead of Mass Destroyer and keep a bunch of Stalkers around Alarak. And then as stuff is coming down, Banelings actually have to drop the thing and then they spawn, so they don't kill you from off the screen. So
plus Alarak's pretty good against Banelings.
Yes, and the problem is just as long as your units don't get obliterated, Alarak's hero unit is great for that. And then your mothership, well, even if they can drop on your mothership, they don't prefer the mothership over a single stalker. So if you have 20 stalkers versus a mothership, that means you now have less than a 5% chance of them dropping the mothership. So
nice.
Yeah.
Also, overcharge is great in case the things do drop in your base. How do you deal with Void Rift spawning in separate locations? Do you have to keep a control group of destroyers or Slayers split off, and you can't really all army hotkey with Alarak?
I think that if you all army hotkey, you're going to be pretty dependent on your allies' ability to clear Void Rifts with you. So
how about, I have an idea. How about sieging up War Prisms? So you can unsiege them if you see a Void Rift nearby, re-siege them in overcharge. Would that work?
But War Prism has, like, it's a weapon unit, right? So
it doesn't have a weapon anymore once it's sieged, so it's actually it's valid while unsieged and invalid for drops while sieged. So that's interesting.
So that'll work, right?
Random trickle units from Void Rifts are going to like to kill that.
That's what the overcharge is for.
Yeah, but then you're going to be using a whole lot of overcharges on like random trickle instead of the Void Rifts themselves. And now, if something happens to drop in your base or something, you have no overcharge, and basically you'll be wasting a lot of overcharges. So like, I did an overcharge, and what did I kill? A Zergling and a Marine. Oh yeah, baby! What a high value overcharge.
Well, you can always unsiege it, fly toward the closest Void Rift.
The better solution is to move, and that's the only advantage of using War Prisms for that over Pylons, since Pylons are a lot cheaper, and Pylons provide supply. But at least War Prisms can move, so if there's a single Marine shows up, you can just move. But
War Prisms can move?
Either way.
The beefiest solution.
It's a lot easier and less APM intensive to, rather than running War Prisms around and sieging and unsieging and overcharging them, just have a blob of like 10 destroyers and click them on the mini map where the Void Rift spawned.
Okay, so what we're saying here is that do not all army hotkey for Alarak.
Yeah, that's gonna apply to like almost everybody.
I think we've had this discussion before, where with Alarak, yes, you can maintain your focus of not accidentally hitting the all army hotkey for 95% of the game, and the 2 or 3 times that you do mess up an all army hotkey, everything's gonna be out of position, which will make you vulnerable.
Nah. You're not gonna be that vulnerable if things are out of position, because in this case, it's not like you need. This is not like Missile Command, where it's like, no, your destroyers have to stay home to defend missile. No. This is,
so you can just regroup them and then send them
those
off.
destroyers, when they're not hunting rifts, could be with your main army. If you really want to be pushing for the main army, you could just group them up with the main army and then split them off again when the voiders spawn.
Would be nice. Anyway,
so, it's fine.
So where do you have them?
I feel like he could be A or B, but he could be like low A.
Low A?
Because of the comp dependence.
So both of you guys say
A
or B.
Aside from the comp problem.
Oh yeah, so wouldn't the comp dependence push him down to B?
Yeah, I think
so.
Put
him B. Yeah.
Alright, without prestige, I don't think he's B because he doesn't have the mothership early.
Yeah, no. Then he's never
gonna be B.
Then he's not B. Then he's like D.
D. Wow, that's all the way down there.
It's a far drop without P3.
Yikes. So anyway, for Alarak, you go mothership as early as you can. You need the 3rd prestige for Alarak. If you don't have the 3rd prestige, then he goes on all the way to D. And once you have your mothership, you rush to your army of choice. If you got Baleen Scourge, we recommend Slayers. Alright. Otherwise, you can use Wrathwalkers or Ascendants or Destroyers, right?
No. No Wrathwalkers, no Ascendants.
Just Destroyers.
No.
So either Destroyers or Slayers.
Or Slayer, yeah.
Alright.
Yes.
I think the Wrathwalkers would have value against the big hybrid, but I guess you can fight it with anything.
Wrathwalkers would have value right up until like something drops on them, they all die, they're extremely expensive, they're not very durable, and you just lose instantly because of one drop at the wrong time.
The Wrathwalkers in this case
is walking from your robotic facility to your main army and during the pass and it get dropped.
The Wrathwalkers in this case would resemble instantly tripods. They give you great shots, but you can just knock them over.
Yes.
They are tripods. Alright.
Yes,
so
using Wrathwalkers instead of the other options really is just like, okay, you could walk across the nice safe bridge, but there is a tightrope over there.
Nice.
You could.
You want to do it fancy.
You probably shouldn't, walk over a tightrope while people are shooting at you, but you could.
Fantastic. Alright. B for Alarak. And D without prestige. Arcturus, where do you have him?
So Minsk is quite interesting. I would say that using P3 for this one.
That's inhumane.
Because P3's P3's early game is quite good against Rift. So like you use bunkers and use armed troopers, and like 2 bombs will kill a Rift. Yeah, because one deals like 250 damage to buildings. And I don't know if we need a splitter here.
Might be useful.
What I was thinking is just like use troopers and to maybe split them in different areas because you have the airdrop.
Yeah, aggressive deployment.
And like if one of your troopers gets dropped by the aggressive deployment, so your bombs will just kill almost all of them, and you just drop them again at that space.
That's so inhumane.
Yeah, that's really inhumane. Yeah, because like there's a thing with ESOs is that like when you building them, like you are using the troopers to building them, and troopers can be
targeted by aggressive deployment.
Yeah, by aggressive deployment. So maybe you need to use the workers to build the Earth Splitter, but not the troopers.
The laborers.
Yeah, that's a little bit trick, but I don't believe anyone can remember that during the game. So yeah, it's a little bit weird, and maybe you just don't. But ESOs is really good though. So like you can use them to to destroy the building which has the parts, and you can just airdrop a trooper to pick the part. That's inhumane. Yeah.
Okay, so letter.
I would say I won't say A, but I mean he's definitely worse than Abathur.
So lower A.
Yeah, like low A, I guess.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Well, low A, B makes sense, but I disagree with a lot of what you said. You are going to run out of money really fast with those plans. You can't. Okay. So firstly, the plan of like when the drop down, they kill you a bunch of your troopers, and then your troopers explode. And yeah, the problem is that your troopers explode after a slight delay, and especially against certain cops, that slight delay is long enough that they just kill all the troopers. And
don't have vision for the enemy, so the bomb won't hit them.
I believe the bomb still tracks them even if you don't have vision of them. But that's a lot. If they kill the whole pack of troopers, you're poor. You're just poor right like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to expand and defend an expansion in this mutation, like really hard. So that's also already going to make you poor. You're going to want to rely pretty heavily on bunkers and split ordinances because those are what make you cost efficient. And you will want to basically Manx, once he gets set up, is like unbelievably good at dealing with void rifts, better than most commanders, like a lot better. You get a couple of Earth Splitter ordinances in the middle, so any void rifts that spawn near the middle, they just blow up. They just die. And any far void rifts, well, you can get one Pride of Augustgrad, and that will deal with like all of them because it has 2 charges of tactical jump, so it can jump over, blow up one, and then if there's a second far one, it has a second charge of tactical jump. And you would just like basically you'd have like a Pride of Augustgrad on rift duty, and it would only use its jumps to jump on void rifts. You wouldn't like jump it home, which does mean don't F2, or that Pride of Augustgrad is now going to move into an enemy base and have a bad day. Although you can tactical jump home if you haven't run out of charges. You shouldn't run out of charges unless you get unlucky with void rift spawns, but still, just try to avoid F2ing the battlecruiser. Your bunkers are really good. Like one bunker full of blue good troopers can just hold off a comical amount of trickle, and if you make that 2 bunkers, even if like only one bunker has guns in it, then it's there's very much a case of critical mass here. Your bunkers have like solid range, and their hit scan, so like critical mass makes a big impact. And yeah, basically you're going to want to focus on early rifts. You'll want to get bunkers next to them with bunker drop ideally, and clean them up really fast with those early troopers. If you have to for early rifts, you can use like explode on the rift with exploding troopers, but that's really not a good option, partially because the bombs, they like to track units. They don't like to properly track structures. So sometimes they'll just not blow up on the rift.
I noticed that. They tend to derp out when they're trying to hit buildings. I feel like that's a bug that Warcraft can fix. Please? Would be great.
Next they'll just decide they don't care about buildings whatsoever, and that would not be fun.
That's lame.
Anyways, so if you have to use explode on the rift for early rifts, then you can, but that's like do it for early rifts only, and only if necessary, because money is like
finite.
Money is your ramp. Like the more money you can spend on building things like bunkers, ESOs, getting your Pride of Augustgrad, the more you're going to outscale Amon. And the less money you spend on that, the more money you spend on replacing troopers, the less you're going to scale up, and the more Amon's going to outscale you, and you're going to get swamped. And for actually collecting the parts, once you've blown everything apart with ESOs, if you aren't using P3, since some people don't have P3, Cloak Medevac is a really good way of doing that. And if you are using P3, generally, ideally, what's going to happen is that you'll just blow up all the ground units with rifts, and then you just need like a dozen troopers, and they'll just walk in and kill everything. Or you can float over your battle cruiser. That works.
That's a lot of. I hear a lot of get good in there personally. No F2. You have to know what the critical mass is. You have to know when, where to build your Earth splitters. You have to know if it's a better trade-off. You have to, that's a lot of.
I'm giving a lot of detailed instructions here, but the reality is it's not that complex. You just
I didn't say complex.
You put a bunker.
I didn't say complex. I said
at each ramp.
Get good, which means you gotta be good. Something can be conceptually simple, but difficult to pull off. Like just saying.
I think what I'm saying is that while I'm giving lots of detailed instructions on how to do it like really well, I don't think it's that difficult to pull off either in this case.
Really?
Oh. I think you stick a bunker at each ramp. You want to clear the expansion and stick a bunker at each ramp at the expansion. Build ESOs.
Yes. You use worker
when you have the money, or if you are running into problems of one ramp getting hammered, stick a second bunker there. The good news is you can drop that bunker instantly when the problems are arising because you have bunker drop. So that's nice. You don't have to preemptively be ready for things like that.
There are 5 bunkers, or there are 5 ramps on your main and in your expansion. Are you suggesting that Arcturus rush to get all those bunkers in place as soon as possible?
You get your 2 bunkers. You get your 2 bunkers in the main. Then you get out your ball of troopers to generate mandate, because you preferably want to top bar the expansion clear and everything around that. But you'll have enough troopers to clear the expansion if you need to use your mandate on rifts. And then you clear the expansion, and then you probably want to at first just build ESOs and not worry about like bunkering the. Well,
wouldn't you
I'm
like
not
just
sure
run
whether
out
it's
of
better.
time?
I'm not sure whether it's better to bunker the ramp right away and get get ESOs right away. Either way, you'll have your ball of troopers at your expansion. So, early on, you'll just be able to manually defend the expansion, and you'll basically just want to be automating your defenses as time goes on by building bunkers.
And we're saying here that the bunkers don't really see the aggressive deployments as possible threats. Especially when they combine.
They don't draw aggro themselves.
So you're saying that the extra waves will drop on your mineral line because they don't draw aggro from the aggressive deployment.
They'll drop on your troopers.
Yeah, but all your troopers are busy either being in the bunkers because you're rushing out bunkers, earth splitters. So where else would you have free troopers that are just ready to receive the attack waves?
Sitting under a blimp generating mandate. Not gonna lie.
So the blimp should be out on the map, not in your base, so that your mineral line is relatively safe. Yeah, that's a lot of
because the blimp radius is huge. So if there's a blimp over your command center and your troopers are like outside of mutator safe zones level of far away from your command center, they're still in range of the blimp. So that's like the ideal spot to be dealing with them, because you're nice and like relatively close to your base where you can like, fall back to your production or bunkers or whatnot. But you're still far enough away that the stuff isn't dropping literally in the mineral line.
That's the
ideal situation.
We were just talking about this. That's a lot of stuff to all have in your head when you're in the heat of battle and void rifts are spawning everywhere and drops are spawning everywhere. It's a lot of things to have in your mind ready to be applied.
These mutators are a lot of things to have in your mind. Yeah. I think that it's relatively easier to do it with Manx than with most commanders, because, well, once you get bunkers set up, you don't have to have that trickle in your mind. You don't have to have waves that like spawn on top of, say, like something spawns on top of like random units in the middle of the map and then kills it and then it starts walking towards your base. You don't have to worry as much about that because you don't, get obliterated by that. You have bunkers. Like, basically it's setup and then things work, instead of setup and then constantly micromanage everything to keep it from exploding, which is what most commanders have.
Have you tried that in practice? Have you done this yourself and seen that it is actually easier than, because I've seen many times here say that Artanis is really good, but when I use Artanis, I never get to any of that points where I feel like he's really strong enough. I don't know. A lot of the things that we discuss over here feel like conceptually simple enough, but a lot of the things that make you feel that they're simple comes from hundreds of hours of playtime and practice with soloing with these commanders. And I'm not sure that we can just tell people on the solo queue or random casual players that they can just do and replicate. Although that being said, I do recognize that this mutation is a handful and is not something that casual players can just run out and do on their first try with any old commander. I do concede that point.
I was about to say, well, we could recommend that there's only like 2 playable commanders and everyone else is too hard.
Yes, I'm not saying that Arcturus is weak. I'm just saying that there's a level of skill. There's a baseline level of skill required. So I'm not saying that he's gonna be in the low tier. Far from it. I'm just saying that you gotta know what you're doing if you're going Arcturus or with any of these commanders, I guess. So that being said, where do you have him?
I think he can go in A, to be honest.
All right. Just take note of that. You gotta know what you're doing. Artanis, speaking of, where do you have him?
Not so good. Not so good at all.
Okay, I'm glad we don't have to argue over that.
You know, he can deal with Voidrifts pretty decently. Like as a commander, Artanis is pretty decent against Voidrifts with his ability to just drop like just enough to clear a rift on top of it with Warp Field, and that cleans up Voidrifts nicely.
Observer plus the Orbital Strike, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Observer plus Orbital Strike. You got options to quickly deal with Voidrifts, so you're good at that. And then you can use those units that you're dropping on Voidrifts. You can group them all up and use that to clear the map, and then you remember there's aggressive deployment, and there's just so many waves.
Yes.
Oh, it's so much.
It is so much.
And you can't handle that much as Artanis because that's like, my weakness, sheer numbers.
Yeah, that's the pitfalls of economy-based commanders.
Yes.
Where do you have him?
Yeah. Like, honestly, I would say that there's not really anything that sets him apart as good here, aside from he has decent rift clearing, but quite a few commanders have decent rift clearing, especially since Prestige added new tools for everyone. And you're just going to have such a hard time fielding a strong enough army to handle the waves and also get dudes on top of rifts.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, honestly, C or D.
C or D, yikes. That's actually higher than what I had him. But Herman, what do you have him?
I think D is the more accurate one, honestly. Like,
yeah,
he's not.
Personally, I would put him in D, I guess, because
all right.
AI composition really matters just because of the drops. Like Void Rifts, he is still fine. Yeah, like Steve Spender explained all the ways that Artanis can deal with Rifts, but the drops is just really annoying for him. Yeah, I would just say D.
Dehaka, where do we have him?
So Dehaka is really interesting. So usually when you use Dehaka fight against Void Rifts is to split Impalers around the map so that Impalers can deal with some Void Rifts. But
then think of Impalers.
Drops. So you don't want to use Impalers to do that because drops will just aim your Impaler and kill your Impaler because you only have one like around the map. Or like there's one in a certain area. And so here I think that so you will have 2 greater primal worm per wave of rifts. So you can use the greater primal worm to kill 2, and for the other 2 I'm gonna say you need good micro for P3. So you use one Dehaka for each of the left two void rifts, and you can use primal worms and swarm hosts to defend your natural or your main base, and or you can use Tyrannosaurus to because Tyrannosaurus is just really good against drops.
The best. I feel like
that's
Tyrannosaurs are one of the best F2 and A move options out there.
Oh yeah, that's true. And I think maybe you can use Tyrannosaurus to control the map, because Tyrannosaurus doesn't care. I mean, but for some AI, like one Tyrannosaurus won't be able to one shot the drops, but for some AI it can. So
I counted 6. We have 6 Tyrannosaurs that can pretty much spawn camp anything. But
oh yes, what I was saying is that you can spread like 2 Tyrannosaurs on the map to help you control the map for the rift, but maybe you can just put them together. That would be stronger. Yeah.
All right. So
letter I would say A.
A. How about you, Sixbender?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really know how to use Dehaka against Voidress typically, so I feel like I don't see anything wrong with what was said. Aside from you didn't mention you will probably have some minerals to dump on getting
regular primal worms.
So yeah, you should probably do that. Static defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's really about all I have to add, honestly.
Cool. All right, so A?
Yeah, I would say A makes a decent amount of sense.
Just don't use Impaler on this one. Yeah.
All right, just no Impalers. Without Prestige, still A?
Well, your early game has kind of a problem, I guess. Like maybe you need 2 Warden to help you with the first Void Rift. If your ally can deal with, like, if your ally can help you at 220, so maybe you need like 2 Wardens and some Zerglings plus the Dehaka himself to deal with the first Rift.
What's better against the first Rift, 2 Zerglings or a single Ravasaur?
Definitely 2 Zerglings.
Okay.
Much better Zerglings, yes.
Yeah.
Phoenix, where do we have him?
Normally, your solution to Voidress is P2. I will throw Keldalis at this repeatedly. Unfortunately, your shell farm is going to be dropped on.
Yep.
So that's not cool.
That is very not cool.
It's not cool, yeah.
Not legal either.
Yes. The technical term is very uncool, Amon.
Very uncool.
Yes. So you will have to deal with that. What you'll probably end up using is you probably still want to use P2, but you could go just non-P2 and just have like random detachments of carriers around the map.
The random detachments of carriers.
Yes, random detachments of carriers. A perfectly normal strategy,
obviously. I was leveling up Phoenix, and without his second prestige, it takes so long to get carriers, plural. My goodness.
Well, but with his second prestige, like 10 P2 carriers and 1 non-P2 carrier are pretty similar in effectiveness. It's like they're awful because they get their half damage and then it applies armor. So basically, they're just completely worthless. If you're using P2, you're relying on Keldalis and like other champions and just basically throw champion at Rift. Defend shell farm with Phoenix suit, I guess, most likely.
Or cannons.
Eh.
All right. So what does it put him?
You have rift clearing. You have solutions to the drops. You just have to be very on top of things.
Well, applies to everyone pretty much, though.
It applies more to Phoenix than most. Remember, right? Like what I was talking about with Manx. How it's like Manx, once you set it up, it largely takes care of itself. Phoenix, nothing takes care of itself at all. Everything needs to be babysitted. So, I would say because of like all the things that can go wrong with defending like against drops, basically. I would say Fenix is probably somewhere in B.
How about you, Herman?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's also in B tier. Yeah, I'm just saying that if the AI composition is like really good for you, like maybe your shell farm can actually kill the drops.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
especially
for,
if you have a good
like,
servitor.
in most cases, the shell farm can't kill the drops, so you definitely need to defend your shell farm.
All right.
Yeah.
Han and Horner, where do we have them?
Hannah Horner can snipe the rifts far behind the map. Yeah, because Strike Fighter is just really good.
Very good.
And I'm thinking, so you should use P1 here because
Of course.
mines just are really good.
Yes.
And yeah, it's kind of like Orbital Strike. You know, you can, yeah, it's like basically the same thing, but it deals more damage. And for the first wave of rifts, you can use you can get like 2 to 3 Hellions to kill one rift, and you want to split another SCV and to try to has the vision for another rift, and you just drop 2 mag mines, and it will just kill the rifts.
Or if it's behind enemy lines, just fly our galleon over to give vision for your mag mines.
Yeah, but maybe your guardian is
it's happened to me. It's happened to me. That one spot near the first Mobius hybrid, I had to fly over there with my first galleon.
Yeah, that's also the case. So but Han Horner doesn't have any static defense, so your guardians will be the static defense, I guess, for here. And if your ally can deal with the attack wave and collect the parts really, like if they can handle with that, you can just use all your strike fighters to snipe all the shards. Oh no, not shards, all the rifts at all time. But I would still suggest like keep some strike fighters to gather the parts. Yeah, because strike fighter can gather the parts really easily.
Yes.
And just build an army with like Reaper, Hellions, Hellbat. Yes. To deal with drops. Yeah.
Yes, just keep it in base.
And letters, I would say, but she really needs to care about the AI composition because Reapers has low health.
Just build other units. Hellbats, Hellions.
What other
Widow
units
mines.
are you gonna build? They're melee. Generally, Reapers are going to be your least dead unit, and they're still going to be kind of dead because they're fragile. But at least they're hit scan and can fly.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe top of B. Yeah, top of B. But he can deal with the risks in the far behind area. So
I think you need a healthy mix of different units because of the death effects and the upgrades, which will stim, slow down enemy units, scatter them. They'll help you out. But how about you, Stixbender?
Hit scan's really important. But anyways, I think that yeah, I'd say that you're pretty like the fact that you can clear rifts so well is a lot. It does mean a lot.
It's a huge deal.
It is a pretty huge deal. It is the only thing you really have going for you because you don't have static defense and don't like having things dropped on your head for certain. I'm honestly inclined to say they're C anyways.
I strongly disagree this time. Normally I would agree with you, but I have played Hara and Horner here with an ally who was just barely himself staying alive. I was doing most of the work, and I actually feel like Hara and Horner deserves the A this week. Because just the fact that you can snipe rifts before they spawn anything is huge. Because if they don't get to spawn anything, you won't need static defense. Because if they don't spawn anything, all you have to worry about literally are the drops. In which, if your entire army is on the map somewhere, not in your base, then you're just fine trading units because you get a slight refund back. Plus, like Herman said, you can collect parts using your airstrike, so you don't even actually need, you literally don't even need to use your army for anything else. Just fighting drops.
Hybrid, you need army.
Well, yeah, of course, but you can also use top bars for that. But that's beside the point. The airstrikes by themselves, I feel like, are such a huge boost here that I think they deserve A this time because they're such. It's such a huge deal. Not just the airstrikes, by the way. The first rifts, when it spawns at the back of the enemy base, it's such a huge sigh of relief that I can just float a galleon over there, drop a couple of mag mines, and we're not dead. That's such a huge relief. The worst possible spawns of void rifts, and we're not dead. I feel like that deserves some credit.
Although I feel like your reliability of getting a galleon back there isn't great, but yeah, strike fighters get back there. It's true. So, yeah.
Did I win?
Okay, I guess they're bad Abathur, but they're also easy Abathur. So
yes, I don't see them having problems with rifts at any point in the game, as long as you're semi decent with execution. Because I'm semi decent with execution.
I wouldn't go nearly that far because I think that early on, while you're getting your strike fighters, there can be problems. Yeah, but in general, they are quite good with the rifts, and
all right, fair enough. Okay. So, am I clear to put them in A, even though we'll probably move to the bottom of A?
Okay, we can put Han and Horner.
All right, guys. Let it be known. I negotiated. I fought for Han and Horner to be an A. I'm not sure if that's.
You fought for Han and Horner rights.
I'm not sure if that's actually the first time in A. I don't think we put them higher than B, did we, Sticksbender? Because it's the
thought we had one
honestly, I feel like 80% of this mutation is just void rifts, and if you can deal with that, that's already like 80% of the work done. And it's just a regular brutal from that point. But anyway, let's move on before you change your minds. Karax, where do we have him?
Karax can also delete void rifts pretty easily. Unfortunately, he needs vision, unlike strike fighters. That's like the only thing he has weaker than strike fighters is that he does need to see them.
Yes.
That said, if you do get observers in position, then yeah, you could just top bar obliterate all the void rifts. Top bar also can allow you to collect parts with observers because you just top bar the crates, use observers to pick up the parts, and just top bar any detectors, and yeah, you can do a lot of grabbing parts like that. You have decent static defense for dealing with the trickle. It is low DPS, so if you want to deal with actual units, you're going to need to have top bar support for your buildings. But aside from that, should work pretty well to just basically top bar clear rifts, buildings defend base. Your part collecting is slow, but you make it like a regular brutal for your ally, basically, if you're on top of things.
Yep. We've seen that firsthand, didn't we, Sticksbender?
Yeah. Makes it nice and easy for your ally.
Nice and easy.
And hey, you have repair beam as well to help your ally too, because that's actually a huge deal for anyone who's not Zerg. So,
and depending on your prestige, you can have super chrono, or passive chrono, and passive chrono.
Yes. So basically, yeah, you are very helpful. Your clearing is slow, so unless you're good, you're going to run into clear speeds if your ally is doing nothing. But
yes,
yeah, if your ally is doing something or you're good, either one of those is sufficient of a solution to solve that problem. So
great. Also, I feel like I remember our game, Stickspender. I feel like I made a huge mistake there. I took my expansion before defending. I feel like I should have put static defense on the. I feel like if I put static defense on those ramps before my Nexus, I would have had a much easier time getting my army. But that's already past the point.
Don't worry, you helped by having expendable hit points.
By having expend anyway. So what do you have him?
Yeah, he seems A. We have too many A's for such a hard mutation. Anyways, he seems A.
All right. How about you, Herman?
I also put him in A tier. I just got a question though. Like, what I was thinking is to use like Mirage to just get a lot of Mirage, and they can deal with the drops, and they can also give visions, and they are fast. They are faster than observers, so maybe these are the advantages, and they can also kill the hybrid. So, but I'm not sure about which one is better. Yeah, the observer or the Mirage.
I don't play a lot of Mirage myself. I personally prefer observers because I don't play that fast and I have a tendency to either accidentally or deliberately hit that all army hotkey, which will drag those Mirages out of position. I prefer having the ability to just siege my observers and just
so that they don't get dragged by F2.
Yes, but that's speaking from someone who's not good at the game. So I guess if you're good enough, Mirages can work better. What about you, Stickspender?
Yeah, Mirages are expensive and they're not invisible. But if you prefer Mirages, I don't see why not.
All right.
Because what I was thinking about is that...
It'll pull a lot of money away from things, but it has advantages.
Yeah, because what I was thinking is that so when you use Karax and you want to go to kill the hybrid, or maybe just build static defense on that part. So like you need to have your probe ready, and you need to make sure your trickle doesn't come to your probe. So you need to like kill all the rifts first, and then let your probe go there and to start building pylons and monoliths and the batteries, other stuff. But if you use like Mirage, like you don't need to worry about that. You can just like Mirage will just deal with the hybrid, and that's it. Yeah.
I guess normally if I want to make an army, I go for carrier. But what do I know? Anyway, both of you agree with A, so that's good enough for me.
Yeah, and also you can put a sentinel or a sentry at your static defense area, so that the drops will come to that area of towers, and the towers just all kill the drops. Yeah.
All right. Kerrigan, what do we have him?
Because her anti-air is really weak, so AI composition really matters for her.
Yes.
And before 4 minutes, you only have
zerglings
and
spines.
So if any void spawns like in weird position, you're be
screwed,
in trouble. And yeah, because you won't know. You won't know if the void rift will spawn in weird positions. So if you know that, you can build like 5 spines, but it's definitely not worth to do that. So you want to have like 8 zerglings to prepare for the first wave of rifts, and other than that, just
then the response of bailing and you lose all your zerglings.
Yeah, and I was thinking it's just to try to build more Nidus swarms and just micro Kerrigan well.
Yeah, I feel like the way to go for Kerrigan here is to defend the first 4 minutes. You're gonna have 4 rifts to defend at a certain point, but Kerrigan spawns then, and you can use Kerrigan to kind of solo the map, but you kind of have to deal with aggressive deployment.
Yeah, and the drops matters definitely.
Yeah, I think actually Torasks could do well. Torasks with maybe a small battery of spore crawlers or something like that nearby to deal with air, but yeah, it's
that can do something at least. And yeah, so just don't Yeah, please don't lose your Kerrigan, because if you lose Kerrigan, it's gonna be a big problem for you.
If you get enemy comp that doesn't have a lot of splash, I feel like there's some value in, wait for it, Mutalisk. Because if you can actually get a big enough cloud of them, they can just deal with the drops and just clean up the rest. Of course, you have to snipe all the splash damage, but once the splash damage is taken care of, they pretty much have free reign. But alright, Sixbender, let's hear it. Oh wait, letter first. Letter first, Herman.
Oh, letter. I would say D for her.
Wow,
Kerrigan's... Or maybe C. Yeah.
All right, which one is it? Oh, D or C. All right, Sixbender. Yeah, let's hear it.
So, your hero unit is very, very capable of dealing with rifts, and it's quite mobile if you're not P3. It's just a matter of like you don't have a great army, but I feel like if your Kerrigan, if the Kerrigan has if she has an army, and the enemy comp isn't something that completely obliterates your army no matter what units you make, then she's actually pretty solid. I feel like she's kind of better than C or D.
Ooh.
But I feel like she can be. I feel like she's like B, unless the comp sucks, and then she's C. Because the reality is, you do have worms for map control.
Yeah.
Your hero unit can clean up all the rifts by herself and clear. Like, she can do it all. If you lose her, you die.
Yep.
Because Kerrigan life. Literally just that is the life of a Kerrigan. Oh, you lost your hero unit? Well,
you're dead.
Game over.
Unless you have 10 Omega networks that you can stall until Kerrigan comes back.
You can't even really stall against Void Rifts, because of Void Rifts, the longer you stall, the worse the problem becomes. Then by the time she's respawned, enough stuff is built up that she can't kill it and she dies again.
Isn't there like a limit?
There are like tons of tricks.
Oh well. So, B or C for you, Sixbender, and D for Herman.
C or D for me.
Oh, C or D.
So let's put her in
C. The average is to C. All right. I had her in. What did I have her? All right, I didn't really have her or anything. Let's give her a C. There we go.